Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to your Excel sessions, right? And we'll be beginning this session in a matter of moments. Hi, once again, good evening, everyone, and welcome to your Excel sessions, right? Let's get started. All right, guys. So I hope everyone is able to see my screen. You can simply, raise your hands to confirm this. All right, great, great. So yes, guys, let's get started. And in today's session, we are going to basically discuss about the pivot tables, right? This is the major center of, let's say, discussion for today's session. All right. So just to give you this idea, right? Just to give you this idea that pivot table is basically nothing but it's an aggregated form of the table, right? It's an aggregated form of the data, right? It's better to say it's aggregated form of the data, and this aggregated form will help you to understand the data in a very precise manner, right? So that uh, this understanding can lead to some kind of insights or informations that you'll get based on which you'll be making your decisions. All right. So yes, pivot tables, they can really be helpful when you want to work on or when you want to get the basic idea of your data, right? So just to guys, this particular the data that we have discussed, right? The employee data set has already been shared with you on a GitHub link, right? If you have not received or missed out by any chance, you're advised to wait until the session ends, right? I'll share it one more time, right? Now, moving on. This is basically an aggregated form of the data, right? To understand this in a better way, there are multiple approaches that you can use. And let's say frequency distribution table is one of the, best, finest ways to understand how what exactly a pivot table is, and how can a pivot table basically help you to understand the data that you'll be working, right? Because any data you encounter, right, or any new data you're going to work with, you need to understand what exactly that data contains, right? So that you can extract the best possible information from that data. And you can, this will eventually help you in business understanding, and maybe to improve your business, leading to some good decision making, right? So basically, let's say here, let me give you this idea here only. Let's say, let's take one of the columns, right? Only one column, not more, right? All right. So just one column. Let's take one column so that we'll be able to understand what exactly a pivot table can do, right? So let's say this is the data, right? We were working on, right? So let me do a thing. Maybe okay. Let's copy this gender column. Let's say first 15, 20 rows, right? And let me paste it here, right? So this is the gender column with these many number of details, right? So here, let's say if I convert this table into a pivot table, what could be done is its pivot table will act as a frequency distribution table, right? This frequency distribution will basically help me to understand, since it's a categorical variable, right? It's a categorical variable where categories are present. These are not numbers for sure, right? Male and female, these are not numbers. These are basically categories, right? So hence it becomes a categorical data. And since this categorical data is present, frequency distribution table comes into picture, right? And how does this frequency distribution table comes? Is basically, let's say, frequency basically means number of times something is occurring. All right. So guys, I can see a few of you repeatedly asking for this data sheet, right? You're advised to wait until the session ends if you don't really have it. All right. And please focus on what is being discussed as of now in the session. All right. So this frequency distribution table will basically help me to understand the frequency of each categories, right? When I say frequency of each categories, let's say if I find the unique number of classes, right? Unique number of classes here. So we only have two unique classes. One is male and second is female, right? And male and females are occurring multiple times in this data, right? Male and females are occurring multiple times in this data. So what we'll do is we'll basically find how many times male and female is occurring, right? So I'll first create, let's say one row here for male and other row for female, right? And just beside it, I'll keep the track of number of times they are occurring, which is nothing but just a frequency that we'll be getting, right? So let's see how many times male is occurring, right? So we'll start with, let's say B8 here, first time. This is the first count. This is the second count, right? The third count. Then we have fourth, fifth. Then we have six, seven, and eight, right? So there are basically 8 times male is occurring, right? And let's count the number of times female is occurring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, right? So there are 11 occurrences of a female, right? We can get the same, right? This is manual approach, right? What we have done, we can get the same using COUNTIF as well. Let's say if I use COUNTIF, right? I select this range of data, right? And simply check how many times male is occurring. I'll close this bracket to get 8 as the output, right? Same goes with females here. I'll use the same data and find the total number of times female is occurring, right? So we'll take from B7 up till 25 here, right? So this is 11 number of times it's occurring, right? So basically, this is nothing but this is a form of frequency distribution that we are getting here, right? So if I highlight all the borders here, I'll be able to differentiate this as a table, right? So pivot table has the capacity of doing this in a matter of clicks, right? You don't have to really use the formulas. Of course, wherever the formula needs to be used, they will be used. Otherwise, if you want to, analyze your complete data set, pivot tables could be the one of the best options to understand your data, right? We'll be converting this data into a pivot table, right? And we can analyze based on our experience or based on our interest of what exactly I want to know, right? So let's see a few of the applications here, right? I hope everyone is able to, follow this. You can simply raise your hands to confirm what exactly is the frequency distribution table. And this frequency distribution table here is acting as a pivot table, right? So this is exactly, you can say one of the features of pivot table. Apart from this, let's say if you have, like in this particular sheet, we had also discussed about the sum if and average if functions, where we found the budget for male employees, right? So this is sum if, then we have average salary of male and female employees, and average salary of male and female employees in respective departments, right? Here. So this is basically uh, the average if we can easily get this data directly from the pivot tables, right? We'll see this very shortly, how exactly we are going to get this. All right. So here, what we'll do is let's get started here by converting this table into a pivot table, right? So what I'll do is the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to select the complete data I want to work on. I can simply select any single cell and press Control A to select the complete data, right? Once I'm able to select this data, right? Once I'll be able to select this data. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to insert here and you have this pivot table option, right? This pivot table option will help us to understand or to create pivot tables, right? You can directly click on this and a new window will be prompted, right? And this window basically is asking for the range of data that you want to select or that you want to convert into pivot tables. And the second part is whether you want the pivot table to be placed in new sheet or in existing sheet, right? So I just want to place this in a new sheet, which is why I've selected this new sheet here, right? And this table range is basically the data that I've selected, right? So this way I can, create a pivot table out of the data I'm dealing with, right? And let's click OK here. You see a new sheet has been opened up with the fields of pivot table. Let me expand this, right? This is the fields of pivot table. Right? So these are the fields of pivot tables, where in the topmost you have choose fields to add to reports. So this is basically a kind of report that you're generating, and these are nothing but the list of columns that you have in your data, right? So let's say I want to select this, or I want to, work on how many male and female employees are there in my data. So I'll go back to the sheet here and I'll select the gender column from this, right? We see this gender column here, and this gender column, I'll place it into columns. So this will be displayed like this, right? Otherwise, you can place it in rows to get your data like this. All right. So this is the only difference between rows and columns. You'll get the categories or unique categories in either of the rows or columns like this. All right. So let's place it in rows. And the second column that I can select is the employee ID, right? And this employee ID will help me. Okay. So not the employee ID. Let's see the count of employees, right? So the count of employees we can easily get. Okay, employee ID will also do, right? We have to place this in your values here, right? So we'll get the total count of employee IDs that belong to female and that belongs to male, right? And the exact same data that we have done or that we have extracted in this functions sheet using countf, right? If we see here, the total male and female employees, right? So it's 480, let's say 482 and 519 respectively. The same we have got here, 482 and 518, right? So this 519 is basically, uh, yeah, this 519 basically is for the data from F column, right? Okay, so here basically we have the gender column as well, right? Which is why we are getting this error here, because if you add both of these, it is 1001, out of which first column or first row is the name of the column itself, right? So which is why we are getting this. Otherwise, the male and female ratio, we can easily see, or basically the count on this. All right, so this is how you can get a pivot table, maybe based on a simple analysis, right? Now, moving on, let's create another pivot table here. And in this pivot table, what I'll do is I'll find the average salary of male and female employees in the organization, right? Or maybe, let's say I can add, within this column only, I can add another column, which will be the salary column itself, right? Let's add this salary column to see. Yeah, so this is the annual salary, and we can see this is the total budget, or it says sum of annual salaries. This is for female and this is for males, right? So we can see the budget itself is higher for female employees, and at the same time, the count is also high for female employees. All right. So this is how you can get, this is basically the budget here, sum of annual salaries. You can say this is the budget for male and female employees. You want, you can rename this, right? Simply double clicking on it. All right. Of sum, you want an average salary. That can also be done. You simply right click here, right? And it says summarize values by, and sum has been selected, right? Sum has been selected, and we can simply maybe select the average to get the average values instead of sum of values, right? So if I select this is the average value, and this is the average salary of male and female employees in this organization, as we have already seen in the this functions sheet here, right? The average salaries using average if function, right? So average salaries of male and female employees. This is exactly matching up to what we are getting here. All right. So this is how you can easily get the count of values. If you want to again change, let's say if you don't want the sum of values, but you want maybe the maximum salary of a female employee and maximum salary of a male employee, that can also be done, right? So let's say if I click on this, these are the respective maximum salaries employees are drawing. And as we can see, there's only a difference of hardly somewhere around $400, right? It's exactly, it's $417. So the highest salary of male employee and highest salary of female employee is offered is exactly same, right? Let's talk about the let's say minimum value. If you want, the minimum value. So the minimum salary to a female employee that is being offered is 1,000. Okay, I think this is the data that we have inserted manually. Let me correct this. Just give me a moment. Right, in this sheet we inserted one column here towards the end. Right, let me delete this. Yeah. So okay. So here now if I can refresh this, right? You can simply right click on this and click refresh, right? So once you refresh this, the data will be refreshed, right? So now you can see the minimum and maximum salaries of male and female employees. Again, the minimum salary offered to a female employee is higher here, right? So this is how you can simply get the sum of salaries, maybe the of male versus female comparison can easily be carried out here, right? Here we have got the count of employees, minimum salaries. Maybe I can add, the same column in values and change the output here. Let's say this is the sum of annual salaries. I'll add one more time, right? And this time, what I'll do is instead of using the sum, right? Maybe okay. The average salary can be displayed here. So summarize values by average, right? So this is the average salary. You can round this off up to 2 places of decimal here, or maybe 0 places of decimal. So this is the exact value that we are getting, right? So this is how you can basically add up more values to get further details, right? So this will give you a quick analysis on the data that you're working on, right? Maybe if you want to know how many people got 0% hike in the last hike season, right? So we can directly use hike column for this, right? I hope everyone is able to follow up till here. You can simply raise your hands to confirm this. If you have any doubts, you're free to mention in the chat section, right? And as always advised, mention a doubt in one single sentence. All right. Now, moving on. All right. So moving on here, well, let's say I want to see, uh, you know, um, maybe let's say let's talk about the hike column. Let's try to understand the hike column, right? And here on the hike column, what I'll do is I'll first, right? So yes, pivot table works according to the given data, right? As you can see, we are consuming the columns of the data itself. All right. So let's create another pivot table. So guys, if you're not able to follow in one go, don't worry. We are going to create multiple type pivot tables in this session, right? So if you're not able to follow in one of it, you can try to, be more focused when I'm explaining the next part. All right. So here, what we'll do is we'll again create a pivot table. I'll go back to my functions sheet here. Again, I'll select the complete data, right? And to create a pivot table, I'm repeating this. Those who have missed out earlier, you're advised to focus now, right? So basically, I'll select my complete data. I'll go to insert here, right? And in this insert, I'll click on pivot table. So this will pop up a window for me, right? And this is the window that will be popped up. All right. This window basically again contains two inputs. First is whether what is the range of data you want to work on. All right. And second input is where you exactly want your pivot table to be placed. Right. So the first thing is data, since I've already selected and then I'm selecting pivot table. So data is already selected. Right. And now I'll go to existing sheet here because I want to create this pivot table in a specific area, right? I can click on this to minimize it, and then I can select the data or select the cell where I want to place the pivot table. So I'll simply minimize this, right? I'll go to my sheet 2, and this is the point where I want my pivot table to be displayed. And this is my second pivot table, right? You can expand this again and click OK. So you see the pivot table has been created here. right? This pivot table has been created here. This is a blank pivot table. You can add fields here to get more idea on this. All right. So here we want to analyze the hike column, right? So let's place the hike column in my rows so that I get different percentage of hikes people are giving, right? So let me release this and this will be placed here. So we can see there are multiple number of hikes given, right? Starting from 0% going up till 40%, right? These are the uh, different values of hike that is given to various people, right? Now here I want to see what is the count of employees at each hike percentage. This basically means how many people have got 0% hike, how many people have got 5%, how many people have got 6%, 7%, 8, and so on. I want to know the exact figure, right? So what I can do this is I can select this employee ID, right? And this employee ID, I'll place it in values to get the total count of employee IDs or total count of employees who have got these respective hikes here, right? So we can see 525 people have got 0% hike, right? 5% of the 5% hike is given to 20 number of employees, right? 6% hike is again given to 20 number of employees and so on, right? So you can see this complete data here and you'll see the exact count of employees who have got what percentage of hike. All right. So this will help me to understand my data in a better way. Right. Now, let's say I'm more interested in, I'll extend this male versus female analysis in this table here. I want to know, let's say, 525 employees who have received 0% hike. Out of this, how many employees are male and how many employees are female, right? Same goes with 5%. I want to know out of these 20 employees who have received 5% hike, I want to know how many employees are male and how many employees are female, right? Same goes for every other percentage value. I want to exactly know against the figure that we are getting, how many of them are male and how many of them are females, right? So for that, what I'll do is I have this gender column in my data, right? I'll place the gender column in this rows again, right? So I'll get the further bifurcations. Let's say for 0% employees, or sorry, for 0% hike, there were 525 total number of employees, out of which 275 are females and 250 are males, right? Same goes with 5% here. Out of these 20 number of employees who have received 5% hike, 10 are male and 10 are females, right? Same goes with, let's say, values represented against every other percentage value, right? 6% hike, 20 total number of employees, out of which 11 are females and 9 are males, right? So this way I can find exactly how many employees have got what percentage of hike, right? And since this table is, a little longer here because the total unique values that I have here is very high. So what I'll do is to make this shorter, what could be done is I can add a filter to this, right? And filter, instead of, mentioning all the hikes at once, I'll simply place this, or I'll simply remove this hike column from rows and place it in filters, right? So what will happen is now I have to select the value of which I want to see. Let's say I want to see for 0%, how many males and how many females employees have received 0%. I can select 0% here, click OK to see there are 275 females and 250 males, and the grand total is 225. Right? Of course, you can add more columns here. Maybe if you want, out of these male and female employees, how many employees are working in which department, right? We can add that as well. So let's pick this department column, right, and place it in rows here. So you'll see out of these 275 female employees who got 0% hike, 18 of them are working in accounting department, right? 59 of them are working in engineering department, right? 28 of them are working in finance department, 27 in HR, 82 in IT, right? 19 in marketing, 42 in sales, right? So this way you can get the exact bifurcations, right? Furthermore, if you want, you can add, or you can, add further columns. You just have to understand what exactly you're doing, right? And you'll be able to get a very clear cut output. Let's say if I want to know, the people who have got 0% hike, what is the average salary of these employees who have got 0% hike, right? Only for the employees who have got 0% hike, I want to know what is the average salary of a person who has received 0% hike, right? So what I'll do is I'll pick this salary column in this data, right? Place it in values. So this is the sum of annual salaries that we are getting. I'm not interested in sum. I'll right click on this and I'll go to summarize values, right? And I'll summarize this values by average value. Once I click on average, we can see the average salary of these employees. Let me just, decrease the total number of decimal places to get the round figure, right? And let's, instead of mentioning this as a number, let's mention it as currency, right? So this is the average salary. If you want to read this data, let me tell you how you can read this data, right? Now focus. Uh, let's say we have filtered, the first thing that we have done is we have filtered out all the employees who have got 0% hike, right? Now, out of these employees, 275 are females and 250 are males, right? This is the first bifurcation, right? Now, the average salary of an employee who has received, let's say, 0% hike is $73,860. And this is the annual salary. All right. Now, moving on. If I further expand this, let's talk about female employees only. And here, since I'm mentioning the department column, right? So how I can read this is, let's say if I want to write my observation in the very next column, right? For this particular observation, okay, let me, yeah, right? So here I can write the average salary of a female employee is maybe, $73,806, who has received 0% hike, or let's say it's better to say a female employee. The average salary of a female employee with 0% hike is $73,806. Right? Same goes here. The average salary of a male employee. This will be a male, right? And if I talk about this is $73,919. Right? So again, the difference is not much. It's hardly of $100, right? And we can see that everyone in the organization who has received 0% hike, their average salary is somewhere around between 73 to 74,000 annually, right? We can further bifurcate this like this, right? And here, what we'll be having is the accounting department is coming into picture, and every other department is coming into picture, where we are getting the total count of employees first. So there are 18 employees in accounting department who are female and have received 0% hike, right? And this is their average salary. And this is purely restricted to the accounting department only, right? This is purely restricted to the accounting department only, right? Which means all the employees or all the female employees who have received 0% hike and are in accounting department, their average salary is 67,505. This salary is higher in engineering department, right? It's higher in engineering department, or we can say it's the highest in engineering department for females, right, who have received 0% hike. And mind you, this is the average salary we are talking about, right? In the similar way, you can analyze the male employees as well, right? So let's say if you want to do a male versus female comparison, right? What could be done is we can move this gender column to columns here. Okay. So yeah, so this is how you can, compare this data. This is for females, right? This is for female and this is for male. So this is basically the count of employees first, total number of male and female employees in this department, average salary of male and female in these respective departments, right? And this is the total count of the employees in this particular department, which means total number of employees working in accounting department is sum of 18 and 22, which is 40, right? And the average salary of a male employee, average salary of a female employee in working in accounting department with 0% hike is 67,505, right? Same goes with male employees, right? So all the male employees working in accounting department who has received 0% hike, there are 22 such males and their average salary is 73,067. All right. And if we talk about specifically about the accounting department, irrespective of male and female, right? All the people who have received 0% hike in the complete accounting department, their average salary is 70,564, right? Which is nothing but sum of male and female average salaries in the respective department. Right? So this is exactly how you can analyze this data, right? And this is how you can extract the insights from the data, right? So I hope everyone is able to follow this. You can simply, raise your hands to confirm, or you can mention your doubts in the chat section if you have any. Right? So as you hover over, let's say if you select and hover over this, you'll be able to see this drop down menu. This says this is the average of annual salary, right? Value is given 64,103, which is this is the average salary, and the row is for finance, which means this is the average salary of all the employees in the finance department, right? At the same time, let's say if you click on this, it says, right? So it says this is the annual salary, and this is the average of annual salary. Value is given 66,747, right? The row is given as human resource, which is this is for human resources department, right? And the column is average of annual salary male, right? So this is the average salary or average annual salary of male employees in the HR department, right? So don't worry, guys. I'll be giving you homework on this, right? So that you can practice this and gain confidence, right? Otherwise, you're advised to replicate everything that we are discussing in live session. Once the session ends, right? You can replicate this and try to reproduce the same results as we are getting here, right? So this way you can easily filter all the data, right? Now you see the magic here. We have selected all this. This is only one time done, right? Now you can simply select the filter from here. Maybe if I want to see the people with 40% hike, right? Their respective number of males and females with, let's say, in every department and the average salary in every respective department. All of it can be done by simply with one single click, right? So people receiving 40% hike, right? There are only handful of people. If we talk about the total number of employees, there are 8 such employees, out of which 5 are from accounting department, right? 2 of them are from the engineering department, and 1 of them is from marketing department, right? Out of these 5 employees who are from accounting department, there are 3 females and 2 males, right? And if we talk about the average salary of a female employee in the accounting department receiving 40% hike is 234 $178, right? At the same time, if we talk about the same of a male employee receiving 40% hike, this is $222,269, right? And if we talk about the overall average of all the employees receiving 40% hike in the accounting department is 229,415, right? So this is how you can get this idea here. And if we further bifurcate this, total number of employees who have received 40% hike in the engineering department are 2 such employees, and both of them are females. There is no such male that exists, right? And the average salary of these female employees is $211,145, right? Same goes with marketing. There's only 1 such employee, and he is a female with a salary of 206,624. Right? So this is how you can basically analyze the data here. And from every other department, we do not have, or any other department has not received 40% hike, right? So other departments uh, includes the HR department, right? We have IT department, we have sales department, and I think we have one more, human resources, right? So all these 4 departments have not received 40% hike, right? So this way you can simply create these pivot tables and build your report, write down your observations, basically simply write down your findings here, right? Simply make you know uh, section here with findings and simply note down your findings here, right? So you can simply write based on this analysis that um, there is no such employee. Maybe the first finding here could be, all right, so let's say, yeah, like this. No, so, like this, right? So here, the first finding could be basically no one from the sales, HR, then we have IT, right? And one more department, marketing, accounting, sales, engineering, right? So one more department we have where people have received 40% hike, right? No one from these departments have received 40% hike, which is the highest hike given to the employees in this organization. Right. So this way you can list down your findings one by one, right? And you'll be able to, uh, you'll be able to get really insightful data from these pivot tables. Right. So if you want to, display this to any of your seniors here, you can directly open the sheet here of the pivot tables, and you can easily showcase your findings, right? But this is purely limited to technical person. If you want to showcase these findings to a non-technical person, you have to write down your observations in plain English language, right? So this is how you can, analyze your data and move ahead. Right? Same things can be done if you want to know how many employees are from different, uh, you know, countries, and what is the salary being offered to these employees. Is it same or not? Is the average salary of an employee belonging to any country is same or not? All of these things can easily be analyzed using pivot tables, right? So let's try to find the answer to, let's say, whether salaries offered to employees in this organization is same for all the, let's say, same for all country of origin, right? Whether the salaries offered to employees is same for all countries of origin. And on top of it, let's see, uh, country of origin, and is it different for males and females only, right? So let's say for males and females, is it same or not, right? So what we'll do is we'll print the pivot table, or we'll display the pivot table in this particular cell, which is 829, right? And for this, I'll again go back to my sheet here, select my complete data, click on it, already being selected. I'll go to existing sheet with sheet 2, and I'll select the cell here, click OK. Right, so this new pivot table display is created here, right? And I'll be displaying the pivot table to purely answer this particular question, right? So whether the salaries offered to employees is same for all the employees, irrespective of their countries of origin. I think same for, let's say, everyone, irrespective of the country of origin, right? And that too, irrespective of males and females. Let's try to find this, right? So for that, what I'll do is I'll select this country column. This is my country column. I'll simply select this. So these are the 3 unique countries my employees belongs to, right? Now, what I'll do is I'll select the employee ID here, and employee ID has to be moved to values so that I can get the count of employees here. So there are 139 employees from China, Brazil, 218 from China, and 643 from United States, right? But I'm not interested in numbers. I'm interested, right? I'm interested in the average salary that is offered, right? So let's see the salaries that is offered to these employees. So I'll simply select the salary column here. This is my annual salary. This will directly go to the values here. I'll remove the count of employees. This will remove the count of employees like this. All right. And this is the sum of annual salaries. I'm neither interested in sum. I'm interested in the average salary. I'll go to here, summarize values by average, right? A little formatting will be done. I'll select this as an accounting, or let's say as a currency, right? Remove the decimal places, and these are the values here. So the average salary that we are getting for all these employees is almost same, right? We can see hardly any differences between China and United States, but yes, there's a difference, a little difference, considerable difference for employees belonging to Brazil, right? And now let's check, is it equal for male and female, irrespective of, let's say, the country of origin. So let's say, for example, for employees from Brazil, the average salary is 112,325. Is it same for male and female employees from Brazil, or do we have difference there as well, right? To do that, I can simply I'll simply select the gender column, place it in rows here, right? So this will show me the average salary of male and female employees. Let me again do a little, these are currencies with 0 places of decimal, right? So here we can see the female employees are offered a little less as compared to male employees, right? And when we talk about the average salary, this is basically between male and female employees, right? Further, you can see the same thing by further bifurcating into whether in each department, the people, the male and female from a specific country, are they receiving equal salaries, right? So you can do this further bifurcations, right? You can add this country column here, right? So like this, we can, answer these kind of questions, whether the salary is offered to an employee irrespective of their country of origin, are they getting same salaries, right? And irrespective of whether they're male or female from a specific country, are they receiving same salaries, right? So if we talk about, let's say, people from China, male and female employees are receiving almost same. The hardly the difference that we have is of $150, right? Which is, of course, not a very employees are paid equally. At the same time, if we talk about the male and female employees from United States, of course, we can see a considerable amount of difference here. Around we can get 2,500 dollars of difference between male and females, right? Males being on higher side, which means the male employees from United States, they are tend to receive higher salaries or higher average salary in this organization as compared to females from United States, right? So only the gender bifurcation, only country where we do not have gender bifurcation is China. They're being offered almost the same salaries, right? You can check the same uh, with the departments as well. Let's say all the females working into various departments belonging to Brazil, are they getting same salaries? So this, of course, will not be same because as we have already seen, right? The salaries offered to different departments, right? Since the roles and responsibilities are different, which is why the salaries will, of course, differ, right? Anyone working in sales department and any other person who's working in engineering department, right? They both of them cannot have the same salary at same designation, which is why we'll see this difference here, right? Otherwise, let's say if we talk about the country of origin and male and female from that particular country, we see the only country that do not have, gender bias is the country of China, right? For every other country, including Brazil and United States, we can see a considerable amount of difference in the average salaries of male and female employees, right? So like this, we can understand the complete data, and you can use, any columns to answer these kind of queries, right? Maybe if you want, you can add this ethnicity column, right? This will also give you the a good insight about the organization, whether whether this organization is race biased or not, right? So maybe let's say I'll copy this, right? And let me paste it here. Let me paste it here. Yeah. So I've created a copy of this pivot table, right? And we can see the same data, right? But this time I don't want to see country and gender, right? I want to see the ethnicity, whether people from various race are being treated equally or not, right? So Asian, Black, Caucasian, and Latino are these people from different races. Are they considered equally or not in this organization, right? So this way I can create a report, right? So we can see the salaries of Asian employees is highest, right? This is the average salary that we are talking about, right? And the salaries of people belonging to Black ethnicity, they're offered the lowest salary, right? So it's not person to person, but this is the average value that we are talking about, right? And average value gives you a lot of insights. If we talk about the total number of employees here, right, we can get the count of employees. So basically, let me format this as a number, right? So this is basically 404 Asian employees, right? 74 Black, 271 Caucasian, and 251 Latino, right? So these are the respective numbers. As we can see, the highest number of employees belongs to Asian ethnicity or Asian race, right? And then average salary is also highest as compared to people from other races. All right, so this kind of information you can easily extract from any pivot table. You'll be able to answer any question related to on the data you're working with based on the pivot tables. right? So yes, guys, I hope everyone is able to follow this. You can again raise your hands to confirm the same, right? So that I can get this idea here. And if you have any questions here, uh, welcome to ask the same in the chat section, right? Okay, one of you asked here, are we going to get notes for the lectures or you have to create your own notes? So this has been already informed in the first session itself. All the notes that you are seeking out, you have to prepare them on your own, right? The documented form of basically the documented form of these notes are available, but in addition, if you want any additional notes, you need to prepare them on your own, right? And I've already informed I'll be sharing this data by the end of the session today, right? So all right. So yes, there's any other doubts you might have. All right. So let's create one more table here, right? So guys, if one of you mentions you're not able to download sheet last time, so this is the GitHub link I've shared with you, right? So once the data is shared, it's already uploaded, right? So it does not matter whether you're during the live session you're able to download it or not. You can download it anytime. You can have access to that link anytime, right? So please follow your recordings, live session recordings for the preparatory session, and we have instructed how you can download any data file from GitHub. Please follow that session to know how you can download that data. All right, moving on. Let's create one more table here, right? And let's get this idea about, let's say, are people uh, across various designations, let's say the people with same designation getting the same salaries. All right, so let's see whether the people from various designations are they getting the same salaries or not. All right, so here, let's see. Again, we have copied and pasted. We are not interested in ethnicity now. We are interested in designation, right? So these are various designation of employees across this organization. We talk about the annual salaries. We see the average salaries are different across different organizations or different positions, right? So let's sort this data first. So I'll right click here, sort, and okay, I'll right click here and I'll simply sort largest to smallest, right? Let's do this, largest to smallest. And we see the highest average salary is for people holding the vice president position in this organization, right? And there are 105 such employees, right? And the average salary is this. If you talk about the highest and lowest, we can create that as well, right? So let me let me pass the annual salary column two times, right? The first will simply get the maximum values. So I'll go to summarize values by and get the maximum value. This is the highest salary offered to a vice president in this organization. And let's say this should be the minimum value, right? So this is the 180,994, right? 180,994. This is the minimum salary offered to a vice president in this organization. And the highest salary that is being offered is 258,498 dollars. This is the annual average salary, right? So these are not average values, these are exact values, right? All All right. And if you want, you can, specifically get the name of the employees who are receiving these figures of salaries, right? You can specifically get the names of these employees, right? You can get this using lookup functions. Um, uh, Maybe if the time permits today, I'll walk you through the lookup functions, right? So that you can get the name of these employees as well, right? But that is an additional step and it is not part of pivot tables, which is why we'll cover it separately. All right. So here, this is how you can understand, right? The average salary of a director in this organization is 171,634 dollars. There are 121 such directors in this organization. The total count of directors, right? And let's say the maximum salary that is being offered, right? The maximum salary that is being offered to a director is $199,848, and the minimum salary that is being offered to a director in this organization is $153,999. Right? So these are minimum and maximum values offered to a right. So these are the minimum and maximum values offered to a director in this organization, right? And this is how you can extract all these informations, and this will of course give you a lot of idea of the data that you're working on, right? Because if you see data maybe in this format, right, you'll hardly get any idea because this is the raw form of data that is being that you're seeing as of now. But if you see the same data in these pivot tables, you'll be able to get a lot of idea from the tables itself. Right? Same goes with, let's say, you know, every other designation here. If we see the lowest salary that is being offered is to IT coordinators, right, with an average salary of $48,024. And of course, the maximum salary among them is 57,446, and the minimum salary is 40,063. Right. So these are basically the respective minimum and maximum salaries offered to these employees at the designation of IT coordinators. Right. The next coming up is the systems analyst and so on. Right. So this way you can perform a lot of analysis using the pivot tables itself. This purely depends on how creatively you can think while dealing with the data, because nobody is going to give you problem statements like this, right? This is purely up to you how you're, how where your thinking goes while you're working on the data, right? How well you want to understand the data, right? So that you can, make use of this particular data, right? So all the data analysts, data and scientists, uh, these kind of jobs is a day-to-day basis of responsibility in their roles, right? You have to perform these kind of analysis every now and then as a part of your role as a data analyst or data scientist, right? There are multiple approaches to carry out these kind of analysis, right? You can do the same analysis using Python. You can do the same analysis using, let's say, SQL, right? You can do the same analysis using Power BI, Tableau, etc. Right? Which way, which method you're selecting, what is the route you're taking matters the most, right? Because this is a very small amount of data we are working on. Assume you're working on millions of records, right? Here we only have 1,000 number of records, which is why we can easily process this on Excel. And assume you're working on millions of records. So that scale of data could not be used on Excel, right? For that, we'll be using uh, Python programming or SQL programming to get the same output as it is displayed here. Right? The methods and techniques are different, but yes, the output that you'll receive will be same using any other. You can create the pivot tables in uh, Python as well. right? Right. So yes, guys, I hope everyone is able to follow this. You can again raise your hands to confirm the same. All right, great. All right, guys. Let's take a 5 minutes break here, and then we'll discuss the next topic for today's session, right? Which will be percentiles, right? So, guys, we have discussed a lot in past, 1.5 hour. So, let's say if you're advised to go through this once your session is over, once this is uploaded in your LMS, right? It's advised to go through it and try to understand what exactly we are trying to do here. This is purely the game of thinking, right? The better you can think, the better analysis you will be able to make, right? Or you can simply, drag and drop any columns here. For example, let's say you can drag and drop this column and try to understand what exactly you have got as the output, right? You know uh, try to understand exactly what has been done and what exactly these figures are, right? If you look closely, you'll see that this is the label for vice president here, right? This is the first bifurcation that has been done. Now, the second bifurcation is I've passed the high column here, right? So once I've passed the high column, I can see that within the post of vice president, these are the percentage of hike people holding the position of vice president have got, right? These are the count of such number of employees who have got these respective hikes, right? And with, let's say, talking about 33%, let's take any one for instance here, right? All the vice presidents who have received 33% hike, their annual average salary is triple two double five $4, right? Out of which the maximum salary is 255 369 and the minimum salary is 181 247, right? So this is how you can understand this data, right? And the complete, if you're able to understand one row, rest of the rows are exactly same. Only the count of employees are changing. Only the values, let's say the percentage of hike is changing. The annual average salary is changing, but they are displaying the same information, right? For example, let's say people with 38% hike, there are three such employees and 231,309 is the average annual salary of such employees, right? Employees with 38% hike holding the position of vice president in the organization, right? Their average salary is 231,309, and there are only three such employees, right? Out of which the highest salary or the maximum salary is 250,767, and the minimum salary is 220,937, right? So this way you can extract information, and these kind of pivot tables give you a lot of information about it, right? You can also get to know, let's say, all the vice presidents with 30% hike, right? There are 15 such employees. If you want, you can further bifurcate this between male and females so that you get to know whether, male and female are being offered the right salary within same designation. And let's select this. Let's say out of these 15 employees, 8 are female and 7 are males, right? We see a huge difference between the annual average salary within the same post, within the same percentage of hike, right? The average salary of males are way higher than average salary of females. It's around $21,000 annually, which makes a huge difference, right? Even the minimum and maximum salaries offered within the post or within the same designation is different for male and females, and the minimum salary as well is, there's a huge gap, right? We can see there's some kind of, gender bias as the hierarchy in the organization increases, the gender bias is increasing. This is the insight, or this is the conclusion we can come up to based on the analysis we have done, right? And this analysis purely based on the data that we already have, right? So we'll be always making our decisions, or will always be making our um, decisions, suggestions information, insights, everything will be based on the data that we have, right? There's nothing as such I'm creating on my own, right? This data is given to me, and I'm trying to use the analysis techniques to analyze this data, right? And this is what I've got. And this data, this information or this analysis shows that as the people in hierarchy, as the hierarchy goes higher in this organization, the gender, we are getting to see a lot of gender bias, right? And this is purely in terms of salaries, right? So this is how we can, analyze, understand this data, and we can, help someone else understand these kind of outputs that we are getting, right? So yes, I hope everyone is able to follow, right? If you're, it's advised to go through this session at least 2 times after it's uploaded in your LMS, right? You'll be able to understand this, right? If you don't know how to download data from GitHub, please go through your preparatory sessions. This has been informed in your live session multiple times, right? Please refer your uh, preparatory sessions. All right, moving on, how to set data in rows and values. You can simply drag and drop like this, pick the ethnicity column you want to, simply drag and drop like this. Wherever, in whichever field you want to, drop this value, you can directly drop it like this. Right, so filters, ethnicity has been applied to filters. You see this ethnicity appearing as a filter here. You can select any one of the ethnicity here, maybe Asian, right? We'll get the respective data. There are, only 5 Asian female employees who have received 30% hike, and they hold the position of vice president in the organization. Right? Same goes with 31. We have male and females, but 7 males, only 3 females. Right? At 32%, we have 2 males and 4 females. Right? So at 33%, 1 male and 5 females, like this. Yeah, you can further analyze this data based on the output that you are getting. Right? If you want to remove any of these fields, simply select this and then simply bring up till here and release your bracket or release your mouse. Right? You'll be able to remove the color. Right? So this way you can basically, analyze everything based on your interest. Right? We'll discuss about the percentiles as well, how you want to show the value, right? There are a lot of things that can be done, and percentiles, quartiles, these are a few things, that can help you to understand in a better way. All right. So yes, this is how, like, for example, here we have more options. You can see as standard deviation, right? You can see the variance of the data and so on. We'll understand these terms very soon in the coming lectures. Right? There are a lot of things that can be done, and there are, of course, a lot of variations you can do to understand this in a better way. Right? You can see we have index or rank from largest to smallest. Then we have percentage of differences or percentages of total, percentage of the column, percentage of the row total, grand total. There are a lot of things that can be done. Right? So yes, this is how it's going to be. All right. So yes, guys, I think there's a lot we have covered for today, right? Because this is, I can understand, a little complex for you know the new joinees, with advice to go through the session multiple times. All right. And I think we should not discuss further for today's session, because if I introduce this, it will be hard to cover up by the end, right? We might have to extend the timing. So, yes, what we'll do is we'll wrap up the session for today, right? And I'll just give you this idea about what are all are the topics that we are going to discuss in tomorrow's session. So tomorrow we'll be discussing about percentiles, right? The quartiles, then we have the interquartile range, right? And if time permits, we'll also go for lookup functions. Right. So yes, these are the four topics that we are going to discuss in tomorrow's session. All right. So yes, guys, I think with that note, we should wrap up the session for today. I'll see you tomorrow at the same time, right? Where we'll discuss these topics, and if time permits, we'll discuss additional topics as well, right? And please make sure, guys, that uh, the sessions moving forward will be a little complex, right? So data science, data analysis is not, it's not a kind of thing that you can understand in one go. Of course, this is something that needs regular practice. If you are practicing this regularly, you'll be able to cope up with the session. Otherwise, there are chances that you'll lag behind, right? So let's not, get into that situation where any one of you is, lagging behind. So it's all, I'm advising this to everyone. You practice as much as you can, right? Simply practice as much as you can. All right. Start with replicating or reproducing the right. Start with replicating or reproducing the results that you have here, or that you're getting here by following the recording of the session, right? And then try to, analyze some, perform some analysis on your own, try to understand what exactly you're getting. And if you make any changes, what is the impact of that in the output? Or, frame your own questions, try to find solutions of them. This will help you to build your problem solving skills. And this will also help you in the critical thinking, right? So these are some of the soft skills that you will be in need of as a data scientist, or as a data analyst. All right. So keep practicing so that, you are ready for the industry standards. All right. So yes, guys, I think with that note, we can wrap up the session for today. I'll see you tomorrow at the same time. Right. So thank you everyone for joining this session. Right. And I wish every one of you a good night. All right. So yes, guys, of course, as promised, I'll share the GitHub link where the data is present. Just give me a moment. I'll simply get you the link. Just give me a moment, guys. All right, guys. So I'm sharing this GitHub link with everyone. This is where you'll find the data set that you can see on this Excel sheet here, right? This is the data that I've shared with everyone. All right. And you can follow this link and download the data from this link. Right? And additional data sets, if you really want to explore, you can explore the Kaggle platform. I think this was the first platform, this the first thing that we have discussed in your initial first or two sessions, right? So I'll simply mention the name here, search for data sets on Kaggle, right? So that you can simply download the data and try to perform some kind of analysis using pivot tables. All right. So books for references also I've shared, you can follow things stats. All right. So yes, guys, with this note, we are wrapping up the session for today. I wish every one of you a good night again. Thank you, guys. Guys, those of you asking how you can download the data from GitHub, please follow your preparatory sessions, right? This has been mentioned multiple times in your live session. All right. And I'm sharing this GitHub link one more time. It is advised to keep this intact, right? So this is the GitHub link. And please follow your preparatory session to see how you can download any file from GitHub. All right. So yes,